Welcome into another episode of Everything is Logistics, a podcast for the thinkers in freight. We are proudly presented by SPI Logistics, and I am your host, Blythe Milligan, and we've got an exciting episode for y'all today. At least it's really exciting for me because it's the launch of CargoRex 2.0. And in this episode, I'm going to be breaking down what all that means. What are these features? Why should you care? And some of the behind the scenes that brought these features to light. Now, let's get into it. Okay, well, before we start jumping into exactly what those new features are, let me back it up a little bit because I am debuting this episode on Manifest Conference Days, the first day of the conference. We launched this company, CargoRex 1.0, at Manifest a year ago. So back in 2025. Now it's 2026. We spent the last year studying the data, studying user behaviors, and trying to make the platform better. One of the bigger points that we have addressed in several iterations and in a couple of different episodes that have appeared on this podcast is how challenging it's been to fix search and the search functionality on the site, building a search engine, what kind of data you put into it, how do you refine that data, how do you enrich that data, how do you make sure that it's accurate, all of these different things that you have to do when you launch a site that's mainly informational. Now, the goal of the site has always been around, exploration and discovery. And what we were seeing in the data is that people were coming to the site, but they weren't exactly sure what to search for. I mean, think about it. If you don't know a company's name, how do you know to search for it on the site? It's something that can be easily, I guess, overlooked or easily missed as far as development is concerned. But catering the content for the behavior that the user is having or the problems that they're experiencing before they come to your site. That is what every web designer, every web developer, when those two teams come together, that's the problem that they're trying to solve is how do we make the discovery of the problems and the solutions to those problems much easier to navigate. And so with building essentially a directory site on steroids, that was the main goal over the last 12 months since this site originally launched. And it's been a lot of learning. And so during that process, it's been, okay, well, we have to kind of separate into two different buckets. And that's what 2.0 really means and what has been launched just in the past couple of days with CargoRex is that now we are focused and shifting more into the problems and the solutions that are behind those problems. And so who are the companies that are providing those different solutions to that specific problem? And if I take it a little bit more granular, I'll get that word right. You probably have a problem, but you don't exactly know which companies are all in the ecosystem to fix it. Let's take freight fraud, for example. Freight fraud is a massive problem and it's probably never going to go away. There are so many different solutions that are out on the market, but you probably know of the big ones. You probably know of Carrier Share, Highway, Search Carriers, some of these bigger platforms that you interact with maybe on a daily basis. But are there other companies doing maybe the same thing or doing it on a larger scale, or maybe companies that integrate into your specific software stack? That's where the evolution of CargoRex is going, is helping that discovery and exploration along the way. And so we've bucketed search into two different types is kind of the way I'm thinking about it. And the way my dev team is programming it based on all the, the wheels that are turning up here and also user behavior. So we have broad match search, which is something that we have been working on over the last year with the site. So we have that bucket that will continue refining and continue getting it to a good place where it serves. I don't want to say that it serves the intent of the query that's being inputted. So right now, a modern search experience is that how do I solve XYZ problem? Most of those searches are you have to match the content based on broad match. And so when you're trying to surface businesses that fall into that broad match, events that fall into that broad match, content that falls into that broad match, it's very challenging to surface accurate results in each of those different phases. or each of those different buckets, I should say, under the broad match search. So we're continuously refining that process and that algorithm and those different data points. But then we also have the category-based model, which is category-based model, tags, things like this. It's been around in blogging since I was first on Blogspot, probably 2 decades ago. I'm whispering it in case you I don't know, in case you're another I guess internet, old enough to know exactly what I'm talking about when I say the word blogspot. So categories and how companies are classified in those categories, which was another thing that we had to fix on the site, because before I would talk about our main pillars of, technology and services and events and content creators and things like that, where technology is such a broad term. And when somebody is coming to the site and they click on technology, they probably want to see something that's a little bit more intuitive, a little bit more focused on the problems maybe that they're experiencing, instead of just clicking on technology and kind of just rolling the dice. That was the experience before. But now in CargoRex 2.0, we have a greater emphasis on those categories, and not just a catch-all category like technology. We are focusing those categories, revamped them all into more specific, like freight fraud prevention, LogTech implementation, buying a TMS. So all of these different categories and the companies that support those categories leads me into the next big thing that has launched with CargoRex 2.0, and that's our guides, our buying guides. That we have 3 of them live on the site right now, which I kind of hinted at just before, talking about those different buying guides. And that's LogTech implementation. So where does tech implementation go right? What you should know beforehand, during, and after. What do those roadmaps look like before, during, and after, before you even decide to get on a call or book a demo, or God forbid, make an investment into some freight tech where, only a handful of people have actually sat in on a demo, and you haven't asked the right questions on the demo to know if all of this investment, not just from a money perspective, but time perspective, your team's time perspective, if that investment is going to be worth it. So LogTech is one of the guides that we just recently launched. We also launched buying a TMS guide, and then we're also launching a visibility guide. So supply chain visibility. Where are we even at with supply chain visibility? Yes, we can have tracking on containers and how they move through the ocean, and we can track the ocean containers. But how do we get the end-to-end shipment visibility, and what does that state of visibility look like? So that's another guide that we have launched, and all of these guides. So we're launching with 3. We got 3 more coming up. I'm covering a lot of these while at Manifest. So I'm talking to some of these companies, freight fraud being one of them. I've talked to plenty of companies in the past, but I really want to see who is the first mover, who is showing real advancements at Manifest. So that's going to be a perfect opportunity to get some quality insights and quality information for those guides. And you might be saying, well, I've read white papers before, I've read case studies before, and yeah, that's true. But what you haven't done is you haven't assembled, like us, painstakingly, the podcast transcripts, the conversations, the YouTube videos, the Reddit threads, the white papers, and combining all of those direct insights with the white papers and the case studies of the world. So we're combining real world conversations, real world feedback, and then also the marketing department and their understanding of what their companies do and the solutions that they're providing and the customer success stories. And so where things can go right, and then packaging it in with the conversations of where things might have gone wrong or where things have gone right. You're just hearing it from an anecdotal perspective via Reddit threads, also conversations that are happening on a one-on-one basis, or not a one-on-one, but a one-to-one basis, but also probably from a one-on-one perspective too. This is the first, to my knowledge, of any logistics company that has aggregated this kind of information across multiple different fields and multiple different opportunities to learn and grow. And that's sort of my entire ethos, especially with launching originally this podcast years ago, was how can I break down information silos especially from the lens of someone who worked at a 3PL, asset-based 3PL. I knew trucking and I knew 3PL. That's it. I didn't know even warehousing part of the 3PL relationship. I didn't know anything about ocean freight. Living in Jacksonville, Florida, that's very embarrassing to admit on camera that I didn't really know anything about ocean freight, especially when Jacksport, and you can look it up over on Jacksport's website. I've done a video on this, that Jacksport in the Jacksonville area was the first official port in the country of United States of America. So go look it up, fact check me, because I got it from direct, from the source, even though I've been challenged on that in the past. But it just goes to show that you don't know what you don't know. And so using CargoRex, now we can prioritize these guides as information, exploration of the discovery of these companies that are providing these solutions. And maybe you have a problem that you didn't even know you had, or maybe it's a problem you know you kind of had, but it's been on the back burner for a while. So let me see what companies are the ones that are out there making waves in this specific use case, this specific problem that I'm trying to solve that's been a back burner item. And then what are some other perspectives that I might be missing that I want to think about in the future before I waste a lot of people's time and waste a lot of budget, which could put me at risk. It could put the company at risk. And so that's the main goal with these guides. And I'm so pumped to finally be able to launch them. And so make sure you go over to CargoRex and check them out, because these are designed to be living documents. So I want to have several iterations of these documents throughout the year. Buying a TMS, this information, most of the bulk of information might not be updated every couple of, I would say on the CargoRex site, I want to update it a frequency of at least once a year, hopefully twice a year. But a lot of that information probably only needs to be updated every couple of years. However, with the fast pace of how technology is evolving, we might have to speed up that assumption. But it just goes to show that these are meant to be, or my goal is to have them as living documents that we can release several editions of, and then be able to, as we get more commentary and as we get more insight and interviews and creators submitting to these guides, then we'll develop a bigger, fuller picture of what the landscape is, new problems, solving old problems, and where your specific company and where your needs can kind of find that pathway. And so with that said, that leads me to my next point, and that's the launch of the creator submissions, or the subject matter submissions. And so what you'll notice on many pages of the CargoRex website is that it'll say submit to our guides. And that's where we want to develop this relationship with different creators and consultants, service providers, anyone that has direct experience with the guides that we're creating. We want to hear from you. We want to share your insight. And so what you'll see soon at the bottom of each of the different guide pages is you'll see that UGC, that user generated content, short video clips, short text quotes, things like that our community have submitted in order to help you form a greater understanding of what the landscape truly looks like, and the things that you should be thinking about that maybe you weren't already thinking about. So we have all of that. We have the exploration, the discovery of information. And then the next thing I want to really shine a light on, and if you haven't logged in to your CargoRex profile, or if you haven't ever logged in, first of all, what are you doing? It's free. Go submit. If you have a logistics adjacent business, and you need to make sure that you submit it on the site. We have about 2,500 companies, logistics focused, that are on the website. All of those different companies have been cleaned as far as a category perspective goes. So there's no longer these bland technology categories that encompasses 1,500 of the businesses that are on the site. That we drill it down even more. So you need to go create an account or log into your account, submit your business, claim your business. All of those options are free. Yes, we have paid options for premium visibility. Later on, it's not a requirement to get set up, and it's not a requirement to manage your business listing. Now, on the business listing page, we wanted something more than what other directory sites have. Most directory sites are very lazy. They are, and this is frankly how, where a lot of CargoRex got started off as, But it was very clear to me very early on that you can't just be a site that has logos and business descriptions. You have to be able to enrich that data with related content. You have to be able to add integrations, associations you support, awards, all of those different things that you will typically find on a company's website or their social media profiles. But the problem is that it takes forever to scroll through all of that different information, to introduce your brand to someone new. All of those different things require a lot of time. But on CargoRex, it's all on one page. You can go in there and you can add all of the integrations that your software, if you're a software provider, add the integrations that your software works with. That's, if you listen to our search data, we have anonymized search data that we release that's based on the broad match search data on the CargoRex site. And we've done a couple episodes on this, and you'd be surprised at how many people have come to CargoRex. And if they do know what they're searching for, that's what they're searching for is, this platform, does it work with this platform? And so the biggest win right now on CargoRex is making sure that your company, if you have integrations with other logistics companies in this landscape, then you make sure that you add all of your integrations there, the associations you support, the charities that you support. Then there's another section for in the news, so stories and stats. That's a new section that you can add to your listing page as well. And this is the area ideal for, new customer case stories. Maybe someone, you guys just won an award from Transport Topics, or, another, Freight Tech, Freight Waves Awards, some of these different awards that exist throughout the logistics landscape, but are so scattered that this is where you can bring it in under one roof. And then there's also, the same profile features of your social media profiles. Then all of maybe you have a YouTube channel and all of your YouTube news. Maybe you have a podcast, a company podcast. Adding all of those resources into one to help people discover your company. This is a big vision that it was very tough to get all these integrations added to the site over the last year, but it's seeing it all come to fruition under 2.0 and being able to be that resource is it makes my little heart flutter, because this is essentially my entire career that I've been working on the internet over the last close to 2 decades, is, having from the Blogspot days of being able to provide information, but then also recognizing that I'm not the only creator anymore in this space. And there was once a time where you could count logistics creators on one hand, and you didn't need all fingers on that one hand. Now there's more than 100 creators in this space, and we're still only scratching the surface as far as information discovery. But the problem still remains that everything is fragmented, everything is siloed off, especially information, especially in this industry. And so by adding these enhancements to your listing page, then you can help break down some of those informational discovery blockades that prevent people from knowing your business and knowing what you do, the problems you solve, and all of that kind of bundled into one. So lots of improvements that have been made on the listing page. Also, improvements that have been made on just managing your account inside of CargoRex. Like I said, it's free. And then we also have the ability for lists. So if you have companies that you want to search for, and you want to save them in a way that's not like a glorified like copying and pasting, then you can create a new list, maybe tech solutions shortlisted, that sound like something that you would want to research further. What you can do is you can save all of those different companies privately to a list that only you have access to. And then you can, once you've saved all of those companies, or you save an event to that list, or you save creator content to that list so that you can listen to it at a later date, then you can go inside of your account and export that file as a CSV. And then you can take that file to wherever your heart's desire. You can take that file up into, ChatGPT or Gemini, and load that CSV file and ask it specifically and chat with that file based on your specific needs, which of these companies matter most, or which of these companies that I should shortlist and check out. Now, what I would love for you to do is to reach out to those companies on their listing page within CargoRex, because if you have a plus or a premium account on CargoRex, we allow users to reach out directly to the business owners. And so we don't see those forms, we don't see those submissions. It's a chance for you to start the conversation. But if you start the conversation and a lead gets sent to that software provider, that service provider, or that event organizer, or that creator, any of those different buckets, it shows to them that it comes from CargoRex. And so that's just kind of proving the value of the information that we're providing. That's just a simple request that I would make on behalf of whoever is listening. And you know how this stuff works. You make a podcast, it takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of energy and focus, and also the willingness to humble yourself, the willingness to look at a project like CargoRex a year ago and say, this is not good enough. What can we strip down, and what it deserves to be kept. As a podcaster, you're doing the same things from your show perspective, where you have to consistently get better. And that's what I'm hoping to provide, is that using this podcast, we can be sort of the behind the scenes of how these products come to light, or how these features come to life over on CargoRex. And then, if you guys are fans of me, fans of the pod and the information that we provide, most of it we are providing for free. Shout out to SPI Logistics, because their support has been an anchor in allowing me to be able to continuously make more content like this, invest in products like CargoRex. And then, I don't have a Patreon or anything like that. So that's the only minor request that I do make, is that that you subscribe and follow the podcast on all of your different platforms of choice, that you share it with people who would be interested in it. But also, if you're going to make a buying decision and you found the information helpful on the CargoRex site, try to find that company listed on CargoRex and reach out using their lead form that's on their site, because then they see the value in the information that we're providing, and then they continue to support our efforts over on the CargoRex site. That makes this business scalable. It makes it cash flow positive. So it's all of those good, business signals that we can start investing in more resources in order to make more guides, to create a better search environment, a better search experience, and then continue adding features that you obviously care about. So that are the main points that I wanted to really bring home, outside of the new look that's on the site, which I think conveys much more of a tech forward, a tech positive approach from the data that we are presenting. A year ago, the design on the site was okay. But the marketer in me wants to always fix the logo or fix the way things look. And I had to really resist that urge to continuously tweak the design, where we needed to get features that people actually care about, information that people actually care about, and then worry about the design and how we're presenting it in a way that makes the most sense. A couple other notes here that I just wanted to add as well is that if you are already a user on the CargoRex site, then this is free to everyone still. You have a custom login page, or a custom logged in homepage for you. So on that, and you'll see what I'm talking about whenever you just click on the home button or click on the logo, and it takes you to the home page that's been redesigned, it's been tweaked. And so you see all of your important information, the companies you've saved, the list you've saved, or the list you've created, some of the companies that you've recently looked at. And then we have site-wide stats. So before, I think that was a little bit confusing on top 5 categories of the day. Are those my categories that I have been searching, or is that site wide? So there's a better visualization of the data breakdown of, what's personal to you, and then what is trending site wide. So my goal with that is to create a pattern of habit, to not only be just a directory site, but be an informational resource to guide you through exploring new companies, finding new companies, and then put you on that journey to discover the different problems that each of those companies are solving. And so this is kind of my way of doing that is giving you the information that you want to see, but maybe the information you didn't know you needed to see. And then also creating the repeatability of getting visitors back to the site. Overwhelming majority of directory focused sites, the visitor comes one time, never signs up, never returns, and it's a glorified address book. I mean, sorry to my association friends out there, but that's essentially for a lot of their directories. It's essentially an address book. And that is fine for their needs, but for a public directory, you need to do more. And that's what these updates are at doing, especially over the last year. That's what this content is aimed at doing, is solving these problems, maybe the problems that you didn't even know that you had, and then creating that revisit habit so that you are engaging with the latest content, the trending content, stuff that matters to you, and then being able to put that all into one place so that you can get regular digests that are email digests that are actually worth it, that are customized to you and what you care about. All of those different account customizations are available inside of your account, where you can customize what you want to see and the frequency of which you want to see it. Do you want to see daily, weekly, or monthly updates of companies that have been added to freight fraud? Do you want to see do you want to see new information about new guides that we've dropped? All of those different capabilities now, are kind of coming full circle. And frankly, for the first time in a few years, since this idea has been cooking up in my head of how to bring this project to life, and how do we continuously make it better? This has been a long time coming. And I'm so excited to share these updates with you. And I hope that everyone listening, especially if you're still listening at this point, that you go and check it out. And most importantly, that you go and check it out, and then you let me know what you like. And more importantly, maybe what you don't like. I want to hear it all so we can continuously make this platform better, not just for you and not just for me, but for the industry as a whole. Like I said, this project or like I have said in previous episodes talking about CargoRex, this project is completely self-funded by me. We have no VC cash. We have relationships. I've had VCs on the podcast, but I've never taken a dime from VC. This is all completely self-funded, based on my experience over the last 20 years of building online, or close to 20 years building online. I'm like 3 years off. So I feel like it can kind of bump it up a little to 20 years. But this is a lot of things coming to life and coming to fruition. So that's not going to stop. We're going to continuously make these improvements to this platform, but I need your help in order to make those improvements. So share it with a friend, recommend it to a friend, get your business on there, and then add all your information to your listing page, and then submit to our guides. We have it open for everyone to be able to submit. We're reviewing those submissions regularly in order to find out what people want to hear from, what problems are the most prevalent for folks within the industry. And then we also want to know from a personal level what you like and what you don't like. So there's all of that information that's right on the site. Do me a favor, go and get signed up. You can use Google, you can use LinkedIn, you can use any of those accounts to get signed up, and to get registered on the site. But I think that about does it. This was a rather quick one, not even 30 minutes for this episode. That's a little bit I'm starting to ramble now. That's why other episodes have been a lot longer than what they should have, because I should have probably already stopped. So with that said, I am going to stop, and check if you're at Manifest and you're listening to this episode, come and find me. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about CargoRex and how you can use it to your advantage. I'd be happy to walk you through any parts of the process that may seem confusing. And if you want to be a part of it, there's plenty of opportunities to sign up, both free and paid. So all of that information is over on the cargorex.io website. But I appreciate your time. I appreciate your attention, and ultimately your support in listening to this show and allowing us the growth in audience size that continues to have great supporters, and more importantly, be really picky about how we monetize this show and how we don't monetize this show. My goal is for this show is to do less sponsorships and more focus on the editorial that is fueling the guides that are over on the CargoRex site. So it's the first of many. So again, appreciate your time and attention, and yeah, go Jags.